What it is, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Third Intermission Podcast. This is your boy Dave signing on this lovely Sunday evening. Of course, you can follow us wherever you get, or follow us on the socials at Toronto Third, both on Twitter and on Instagram, or X, as the other people like to call it. And of course, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast from. That includes Google, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and our friends over at Podbean. Anyways, got the right hand of the king himself, and we got the queen of black hockey in the building. And of course, we got ourselves a special guest here. As you can tell, if you're watching us live on YouTube as well, I almost forgot about that. We got Julian in the building. So first things first, Julian, what's going on? It's nice to actually finally chop it up with you, even though like you've been chopping it up with everybody else, and I've been kind of feeling left out for a hot minute.
You tell me. I wonder why we have not been formally introduced in any way. Like
Yeah, I'd like to
this is
ask
a
Avery that question the
this
same
is
way.
a meeting long in the making, brother. Like what is this, man? Like why are you?
Yo, no, 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 no,
I've been
no,
on
no.
pods with Marsha before. Avery and I did a show together for some time. Like it's crazy that I haven't met Dave.
Right? Avery, Wagwan.
I'm good, Dave, but yo, what? This show's been
You
on
don't
air
have
for
to put
what?
a you don't
14
have to
point.
put it all on Avery though. It is what it is.
No, no,
But
no, no,
like
no. That's fair. I like picking on him. That's why.
Yo, we've been on the air for like 14.3 seconds. And already it's the blame Avery hour. That's wild.
Yep. Yep.
shout out Avery who
Right?
has the comfort to wear a blazer and shirt in his own crib.
Of
For
course,
real.
we're going on camera.
Look, man, that's what I'm saying, man. You have the confidence to do that. I would much rather wear comfy clothes.
Right?
Yo, for me, a suit's comfy. I'm the kind of guy, no word of a lie, Julian. I have come home from a day at the rink at Rogers Place. I've come home, take my regular suit off, and put on a second suit.
And you didn't bid?
Of course I bathe. What do you mean? Of
Yo, that's a solid question. That's actually a solid question.
course I
He's
bathed.
an old head.
You come
Old
from
head.
outside. You come from outside, and you sitting on outside things. You come back inside. You don't even bid. You put on a whole other suit.
No,
You don't
I
even
was
shower?
showering in the meantime. No, I was showered. Yeah, of
That's
course I'm
good.
showering. What do you mean?
That's great. You have water in your pipe. Good for you.
Marshall, what's going on?
I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. This is basically Avery and I catching up on zone time no longer being a thing as of like 3 years ago. 3 years ago. What year did they cancel us?
2023. That Yahoo Canada shut down.
So yeah, it's been almost 3 years
Yeah.
since zone time stopped being a thing. This is
Oh,
this
that
is
was
a
such a
regular
good
episode. That
Yeah.
was a great show. I missed that show. It was a cool show. I know Alleged Stats has been reborn out of that, and I know I've been doing other projects and stuff, and busy with other things, so I haven't been as involved in that. But when we had zone time as long as we did, it was a really fun show, man. Like Avery got to be a star on that. Sam Chang was great on that. Tic Tac Tomar, what a star, man! Like I think he's a star, bro. It was amazing.
Shout out Omar and Sam, friends of the show. We hope to have you back one day.
Absolutely. Am I frozen? Am I frozen on this end? My bad. I can't.
Yeah,
even
yeah,
sorry.
just a little bit.
Oh, for a
All we
second,
just
yeah,
need
you're
is-
frozen.
Sorry. Yeah, my bad. My sister tried to FaceTime call me, and now all of a sudden my camera doesn't work. I'm sorry about that.
You have a
Jeez.
MacBook,
We
don't
love
you?
technology, but it's not an incriminating position, so you're fine.
For real.
Yeah, that's great.
Stop
so
the camera, start the
I'm so
camera.
sorry. I
so
think
we
I'm
can
gonna have to
still
do that
hear
again.
you.
Hold on. Maybe. All right.
There
I
you
got
go.
that.
There we go.
My bad.
There we go.
Sorry
There we
about
go.
that.
Marsha, how are you doing?
I'm alive. I would say I'm well, but ants just like to be the bane of my existence. They're just right up there with mosquitoes for me. I won't go any further. I'll let you believe what you want to believe, but I had to wash a comforter. And that's as far
That's
as I'll
terrible.
go. But
Rough.
the hockey world is great. The Raptors are playing. I hear my mother and my sister yelling downstairs. So I don't know what's going on, but things are good. Things are
As
good.
far as I can see on my watch right now, we're apparently down two with like 10 seconds left, but like I don't
Been
know if
back
the
and
game
forth.
done at this point. So, but Speaking of Toronto teams, or excuse me, Ontario teams, considering it's fitting for this particular episode. Of course, before we get into our little thing with Julian, we just want to recap that the Leaf Dem have won 3 straight. They slapped the ever living daylight out of Vancouver on Indigenous game night on Saturday, which was actually pretty solid. It's also nice to see that Canadian teams are still showing pride not only for like the Indigenous heritage, but also just for just social activism in hockey. And it's like with, of course, the NHL trying to clamp down on that, especially with Pride and with Black History Month, aka the greatest month of the entire year coming up.
Too short.
It's really difficult to try and have something established for Black players, even though there's like a very massive minority of Black players in the NHL. And then on top of that, it's like you also have a massive minority of, say, other races and just nationalities and originalities in the NHL as well. And of course, with like say Indigenous or Native Americans, South Asian players, Asian players in particular. Um, we don't see a South American contingent as of yet. We don't even see an Australian contingent as of yet either. And it's just like it's I guess as the game progresses and as it internationally grows, it's still kind of upsetting to not see that. I guess that representation. Obviously, Julian, you were working with the Ottawa Senators. Have you seen anything of that nature within, like, say, the Senators organization over the last year or two?
Um, Tough to say, as I've only been around the team for like a year and a bit. As far as I know, I don't know if they're doing anything specifically this year to do anything for Black History Month. I mean, most of the games this year, I think, are on the road anyway, with the Olympic break taking over. But I know the Ottawa Senators have worked with uh, some of the organizers from who have worked with Black History Ottawa, and they have a charity game to commemorate the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes. They had the 130th anniversary game at the CTC last year. When Anthony Duclair was on the team, he made a big point about how this team needed to find a way to honor Black History Month. I would point to the. I'm not trying to champion the Sens here, but I do think that to their defense, maybe a little bit, that like maybe they've tried to at least acknowledge that in the past. I think ultimately NHL teams and the NHL as a whole can always do more, even if you could point to a little bit of progress, whether it's the Player Inclusion Coalition being started. Obviously, you want to know more of what's being done for that group to make the sport more inclusive to groups that are not white. Think of players who have been drafted from racialized communities in the last few years, where we saw Bill Zanon and Kayshawn Aitchison getting drafted in the first round. I think the progress is there. It's just it could be so much more significant in terms of being inclusive of racialized communities, people who look like us, Asian players, other nationalities. It's only going to benefit the game, and it's only going to make people who are not white feel more welcome in these spaces. So like, yeah, I will ultimately, to your point, I will just say, like, I think there's a little bit of progress if you look a little closer and you look at certain people who are working in certain areas, but they need more help. And ultimately, as more needs to be done in order to make the sport much more inclusive for different groups.
Awesome. I'm gonna actually throw this to Marcia because I know she's done extensive work with Black Girl Hockey Club Canada within the past and everything. Actually, I'm gonna field this for both of you. Have either the Sens or Black Girl Hockey Club Canada collaborated within the last year?
I don't know offhand if they have. Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I'm not sure if they have in the past, but I haven't actually looked into that specifically. I know they've worked with other teams in the past. I remember I know they had a thing with the Calgary Flames a couple years ago, but I don't know specifically with the Sens what they've done.
Yeah, I don't think there's been direct collaboration. I think there's just been like travel to games, and like group meetup type of thing, but no official collaboration. But
Yeah.
also highlighting like literally within the last week, they just had a rebrand. So now Canada is the Women of Color Hockey Collective, um, while America is staying Black Girl Hockey Club. So that was just a
Interesting.
recent shift
Why is that?
in branding. I
Mhm.
think it's just to encompass the fact that the Canadian branch was having a lot more I guess it was more of a diversity thing where there was a lot more girls of color experiencing issues, and it like when you looked at the breakdown of like Black girls versus like East Asian girls versus like South Asian girls for like and that demographic break and Indigenous girls, et cetera, it was a more even split, and they wanted to work towards bringing them in more, instead of having them like feel excluded and trying to find their own space. Wanted to have them all kind of be encompassed under the same umbrella and work towards that same common goal. So I think that's what kind of led towards the shift.
So it's officially called the Women of Color Hockey Collective now.
Cool.
I rate that. That's a solid name.
That's a good name.
So considering that you live in, I guess, in Avery, I'm sorry for picking on you about this, but like you live in practically a state, a province that wants to separate. Um, how are things going with the Oilers right now? Before we go into our little
Well,
meeting today.
first of all, that's a bunch of fringe wackos who want to do that. That's not the majority. That is not the majority of the province. That's a bunch of right-wing
Yeah, that's
lunatics
yeah,
who
that's not
exactly.
all of Alberta. As a
You
former
know,
resident of Alberta, that is not all of that's not representative of the entire
No, no,
province.
no. I know. It's just it's all over the place, and it's just like considering what's going on south of the border right now, like you take your shots.
I think here's my thing about that. To go in defense of Avery and Edmonton here, like I can understand it's a pretty serious situation, and
Yes.
like I'd be careful with like being mindful of that. And there are so many other things, so many other pot shots you could take at Edmonton that don't involve calling like bringing attention to people who want to do something like that. I would think like
Mhm.
Edmonton as a city being just practically inferior to Calgary in so many different ways. The fact that it's like so much further north,
Jeez.
like not as much to do in Calgary. Like there are so many other things you could have said to make your point, as opposed
Well,
to just like singling out people who live in a province who might not all be uniform to the same thing. So I just want that said.
hey,
no, that's fair. I mean, I lived in Alberta for a little bit myself. I mean, I've spent the summer there, and like obviously, dead ass. Like I love it there. I wish I could go back, but like again, I'm not trying to deal with minus 40-degree weather and then turning into a fudge sickle every
Polar
January.
vortexes are no joke, brother. They're no
Of
joke.
course, they're no joke. I mean, you live in Ontario, and they're like what a dime a dozen out here. So it's like
Did you mean to say on terrible?
I dead ass said Ontario.
Y'all would, if that's how y'all feel about Ontario and Alberta, I would love to see how y'all would handle Quebec.
Listen,
Now,
we're not
Would
Julian.
going there.
love to
We're not
see
going
how
there.
you guys handle.
No, the one group of people we don't
Would
mess with
love
are
to
French
know how
people.
you guys.
We don't mess with Quebecers, man.
As a Quebecer myself, I'm very curious to know how the rest of my friends across the country would handle living in Quebec and all the
They would not.
ups and downs of that province. But that's neither here nor there.
Listen, we don't deal with Quebec because it's like some of us basically forgot some of the French that we learned back in grade 9. So it's
Well, I didn't. So yeah, I didn't.
Hey, for the record, to back to Dave's point, you know what I'm gonna say here before we get to the actual Oilers bid here. The Edmonton Oilers still to this day, to Julian's book Black Aces, the most black players all time, the most black players of all time in Oilers. So the team can hang on to that stat for quite some time. I'm happy about that fact, but also Edmonton, times recording, fell to the LA Kings, and we're in the middle of January, and this team still has not won 3 games in a row. It is so bizarre.
That's actually pretty nuts to hear, considering like the aspirations for this team every year, and all the saga that happened with Connor McDavid, the contract at the beginning of the year, and the fact that like he has. You could make the argument he should be winning the MVP this year. And I know there's Nathan McKinnon and Macklin Celebrini, but that is a dizzying stat. They have not won 3 in a row. That's insane.
No, sir. They've won 2 games a bunch of times, but this season has been a bunch of win 2, lose
year.
1, win 1, lose 3. Yeah, they've come close, but they have still not won 3 games in a row, and they are in second place in the division. They are still near division lead with that stat.
Pacific division is super weird. Like
every division has been weird this year.
No, but the Pacific division, if you look at the point totals and you compare them to so many other teams around, like there's some good teams in that division that should not be ranking where they're at if you put them up against the rest of the league. At one point, like their point totals were so low, I'm pretty sure there were teams that were out of the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference who would lead the Pacific division. Like that's how weird that division has been in a year where like particularly all of us actually, maybe not so much Avery, but we focus so much on the Eastern Conference being so compressed in the standings. Like we've been so focused on that. We have not focused enough on the Pacific division falling short of certain people's expectations. The Vegas Golden Knights have not played up to expectations with the additions that they made. I'm talking more about Mitch Marner here. Anaheim has fallen off a cliff after a really great start to their year. Yeah. Like Seattle has been kind of up and down, but they've been hot for the last like 3 weeks. Like that Pacific division is super. LA is another team you worry about. Like people are wondering if the head coach should be fired at any point. Like that division is arguably the most interesting one in the NHL. You can make an argument for that right now.
Hey, at least you're not Vancouver right now.
Look, just adds to the weirdness, right? Like,
very true.
This whole like fast retool thing they're trying to do, like one good trade with the Minnesota Wild, and you think, hey, maybe we could make it work with these kids we've added on the fly. No, you need to go through some lumps.
You have to treat your other players well too.
Anyway.
But I mean, like even to Avery's point about the Oilers not winning like 3 in a row, that was us up until yesterday. If we didn't win that game yesterday, that was our first.
Who's us?
3, the Leafs.
Yes, that's right. Sorry, we can't lump in the same conversation.
I don't root for any team, so I just want that clear. Just when y'all say us, you don't mean me.
No, sorry.
So
my bad.
I guess to quote Kendrick Lamar, you're not like us.
No.
Boo! Boo! Tomato! Boo! What was? Oh, brother, that stinks. What was that? Wow!
I'm finally being called out for my jokes. Like,
wow!
You know, this actually asking me to try a little bit harder.
That is just
thank you.
All right. All I was just trying to say, I don't root for any teams. That's all I was trying to say. Anyway,
there's fresh ears, so now like Julian's catching everything.
Yes.
So it's great.
It's nuts.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Don't worry.
Wait,
I got something.
The Leafs.
I got something for you. Anyways.
Right.
Up until yesterday.
Wait. You know what? I'm very curious to know what you got for me. I'll be ready for whatever that is.
No, don't worry. I got you.
All right. Okay. Sure.
Anyways. All right. We understand you have a new book coming out. We saw a copy of that just right before we got started on everything. Yes, Black Aces. When does it officially come out?
February 3rd. But it is to my understanding that there have been people who have pre-ordered the book from some local stores, and it is available for pickup in certain spots. So if you have gotten your hands on the book well before the release day of February 3rd, congratulations. Awesome. And I hope you enjoy the read. But it'll be available everywhere as of February 3rd. And in due time, I will formally make announcements for book signings and book events. I've been working hard at booking some stuff. And Toronto, I will be in Toronto more than once to promote the book. That's as much as I can say on that. But yeah, I'm really excited about the project, and I'm excited that a lot of people have been really excited about it too.
Oh, that's amazing. So I have have to ask, like, how much extensive research did you have to do in regards to like the amount of stories that you've had to put like, just to put together throughout building this like I guess classic masterpiece.
Classic masterpiece is and you haven't even read the book yet. That's high praise. It's hard to put a number on it, but it felt like a lot because there was a lot of journalistic articles I had to go through, books, documentaries, clippings and all that. Like I did as much as I could, not to mention all the different interviews I had to do with some of the different people I profiled for the book and people in the hockey world, insiders, other journalists, other players. Yeah, it's very difficult to put a number on the amount of research that was done, but there's a bibliography at the end of the book that can outline all the different sources I went through and all that. But it was a lot of work, but it was really fun and really rewarding to have to do all of that to put together my first ever book, and I'm really happy about it.
Amazing. Avery, I'm going to toss this next question to you, so go right ahead.
Yeah, Julian, want to ask, of course, on the cover, some of the names you've interviewed and talked to were names like Sarah Naris, Jerome McGinley, Kevin Weeks. What did it mean to you when you're going through these interviews, and what did it mean to realize that you're going to be this guy who is going to be documenting their stories, not just one player, but dozens upon dozens, and players from all eras? Because it mentioned from various eras. Because you got Jerome, you got Kevin, you got Tony McKegney, you got players from the '70s to now.
Yeah, it means a lot, and to know I'm not the only one who's ever done that. I think of someone like William Douglas who does a great job of chronicling Black players and other players of color through NHL.com and his own personal blog as one example. To be a part of that group of hockey writers who have done that for Black players, like that's really cool. I've seen different examples in the past of much smaller collections of Black people in hockey, and to have the opportunity to put together a book that features male players, female players, NHL players, PWHL players, NWHL players. That means a lot. I think just to have that as another level to showcase how far Black players have come since the beginning of the NHL, since the sport really took off and became a thing in the early 1900s to now. It means a lot. And I see it very much as a legacy thing, and to play a role in that means a lot. So yeah, I think getting the opportunity to talk to so many great players like a Jerome McGinley or Tony McKegney or an Anson Carter or Kevin Weeks, like it's super cool, like in the context of the project, but also just personally, just especially for guys like Jerome, like that's a guy who like we've all watched growing up, and he was amazing in Calgary and all these other spots he went to after, and some of the dominant seasons he's had as a player, as a power forward, as a fighter, but also a goal scorer. Like to be able to ask him questions and to tell his story and to talk to so many people about him, like particularly with Jerome, who is the nicest guy off the ice, but we all know how tough he was on the ice. Like it was so cool to say that I had an opportunity to talk about his upbringing in the sport, and not that other people haven't, but like for a project like this to do that was really special. So I'm grateful that I got the opportunity to do that. I'm grateful that I got to speak to as many people as I did for each of the stories that I put together, particularly again with Jerome, who has so much praise from so many people around the hockey world, whether it's other players, whether it's broadcasters, whether it's journalists. I think of all the players I profiled, there might be the most diversity of voices. It might be in that chapter, just because of how great he was as a person and how great he is as a person and how great he is as a player.
I love that so much. I can hear the passion in your voice as you speak about each of the people that you.
By the way, I just want to mention Avery's one of those voices who I interviewed for the book too, and I really appreciated his insight, particularly on some of the guys who stopped out in Edmonton and played there, whether it's an Anson Carter or Grant Fuhr, for example. I leaned on him quite a bit, so I just want to say thanks for that.
No, Julian, the fact that you reached out to me, the fact that you wanted my insight, I'm honored by that, Julian.
Yeah, I mean, Absolutely, absolutely, and that's not even a troll. I wanted to genuinely be nice because I feel like you have been getting made fun of a lot to start off the show, so I wanted to give you your flowers on that.
We gotta
Hey, to
reel it
be
back.
fair,
Reel it back to the be nice to turn it back into the be nice to Avery.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Be nice.
Well, I
Be
mean,
nice.
he's had a few guests that have come to his aid to defend him. So you know what? Like, I think 2026 is the year we finally stop making fun of Avery.
I mean, I didn't say that.
What?
I didn't say stop making fun of Avery.
There must be balance in this.
Avery makes fun of me too. Like it goes back and forth. So I'm okay with that. That's fine. That's okay.
fair.
But no, I do think he deserves his flowers. And yeah, I just wanted that said.
Of course. All right, Marsha, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, hearing about all of the people that you spoke to and all of the interviews that you've done, what kickstarted the process for you? Like, what made you say, these are all stories that need to be told. I'm going to be the one to sit down and put it all together in a book.
I got approached with the opportunity. I mean, not really an opportunity, but a literary agent asked if I was interested in writing a book in late 2023, and that came after a column I wrote about Bill Peters getting another opportunity to coach in the Western Hockey League. For people who are not familiar, he said a bunch of racial slurs towards Akeem Aliu when he was coaching him in the AHL in late 2009, 2010. And people read that column. And then the agent I'm working with, Brian Wood, asked if I was interested in writing a book. And I've always wanted to write a book. And then just one day I thought about it, and I thought it'd be cool to put together a project, which ultimately ended up being Black Aces, where you're able to tell these different stories from different players. And to be quite honest, I just tried my best to cast a wide net to as many interested people as possible. I knew there were people, even if I wasn't going to get them directly, like I had to find a way to profile them. But there were so many people who were so gracious with their time, like a Sarah Nurse or George Larac, for example, among the many other examples, like a Jerome, like I mentioned earlier, who were willing to give their time. But I also thought it was cool to highlight stories from players and people who are not nearly as known as some of the names I mentioned, like a Kelsey Kozler, who played in the NWHL, is now coaching in the NCAA, for example, or Dante Abercrombie, who is also set to coach in the NCAA later in the fall in 2026. To have that opportunity to tell those stories too means a lot, because I do think that while there are some very obvious names, and I've had a lot of people in the last couple months say like, hey, did you talk to this person? Did you talk to this person? That's great. Like, it's good that people want those names too, but there's even more people beyond that who deserve that shine. So that was the thought process with the different people I wanted profiled in this book.
And did you know from the beginning that this was the type of book that you wanted to do, or was it more of a okay, what am I gonna write about type of thing?
It was definitely a lot of that, and then just one day, just the idea popped in my head, and I thought, you know what, that's probably a good idea. And then once I got sold on that, just I started working on that. Basically, just took like 2 years to kind of put that all together and to make it work. Once I realized I wanted to do the idea that I ultimately set out to do and has come to reality, then I just knew what I wanted to do, and I just had the game plan set up and just got to work on that.
Okay. It sounds like there's room for a book too.
Hey, if there's an opportunity to do a book too, it's something I would definitely think about a lot.
Of course.
Be really cool to do. There's a lot of people I got to in this book, but there's a lot of people I didn't get to or didn't even profile in full, who would, make up for a great second volume, right? Like, yeah, it'd be an honor to do a second book if that opportunity came.
Out of every single, well, actually, hold on, let me rephrase this. Considering you are now considered a member of the, I guess, a member of the fraternity of, like, say Black hockey professionals, whether it's like media or say team operations or even a player themselves, you have to take pride in the fact that this is something that's not only significant but also something that's inspiring and groundbreaking. Like, I have to ask, like, considering the amount of interviews that you've done for this book, like, who was, I guess, the one that stuck out the most while you were getting everything together?
I didn't interview this player directly, but I think their story resonated with me the most, and that's probably Herb Carnegie, who's probably the best Black player to never play in the NHL. And for those who are watching live, I guess I'm wearing his shirt, which I ordered a couple months ago, and I'm trying to wear on as many of these appearances as I can. I think knowing about the hurdles he tried to climb through in his attempt to maybe one day play in the NHL, and ultimately it didn't work out, but to know that he is at least still in the Hockey Hall of Fame, even though, as his daughter Bernice has said, maybe it should have happened while he was alive. There's a strong point to be made there for that. Mm-hmm. I just thought the fact that the unfortunate racism that he was subjected to. One story that comes to mind is him playing at Maple Leaf Gardens on a local Toronto team, and then members of the Toronto Maple Leafs are watching him, and Conn Smythe sees him, and he relays to a coach that if someone could find a way to turn him white, they'd find a way to put him on the team the next day. And to know that story resonated with her decades after the fact. There's an interview you can find on YouTube where he's speaking about it with Elliot Friedman, and he's brought to tears when he's discussing that story. That was just heartbreaking. I spoke with Elliot about that, and it's in the book. And that was a story I heard that I felt angry about. And I mean, and that's just me as someone trying to tell that story. For someone like Herb, who decades after the fact, that still hurt him in his pursuit, obviously in his pursuit to one day be an NHL player, but decades long after the fact, that still hurt him. Like, again, if you can watch that interview, and I don't know how anyone could not feel anything but angry watching that, learning that detail. So I would say it would probably be that story, but there are some honorable mentions too, like learning about Blake Bolden and her story growing up in Ohio and joining her mom and her grandmother on paper routes. And then by chance, they meet the security guard who works at the local arena. And next thing you know, she's watching Cleveland Lumberjack games in the IHL, and that fuels her passion to play hockey. And then she ends up taking up the sport. Or George Laraque, who his parents went to watch him play hockey when he was younger. They did not feel welcome in that space. They were subjected to racial slurs, and they decided they were not going to watch George play hockey games anymore. So he had to take himself to games, and he had to use that as motivation growing up in the game. There are other stories that stand out for sure, but those are among the ones that stand out the most.
And Julian, we know this when players, coaches, people around the game who said yes. What do you mean that all these people agree to do it? Because being part of a book project isn't easy. It can be time consuming. So what do you mean to have all these names say, yes, I'll be in your book, or yes, I want you to profile my story?
It was a relief because, I mean, you could do the project and talk to people about the subject, and it is the case for Herb Carnegie, who is no longer with us. Angela James was on another project and was not able to be interviewed for this, but she was too important to not be interviewed. I had limited access to PK Subban, so I wasn't able to interview him on every single one of those topics, but I was still able to provide a lot of different perspectives of his career. And there was a lot of background research done for that, and a lot of people who were able to speak to that. That's one of the benefits of being a Montreal guy, where I'd lived that whole PK Subban experience. So a lot of that was just like, I remember certain key points, and then I'm just going back to certain people who I know have covered him, and they could just kind of validate certain things. But for the people who did speak to me on record and were willing to let me tell their story, it obviously means a lot. I think obviously when you're trusted to tell stories for anybody for any type of story, it means a lot, and you try to handle those situations as delicately as you can. But definitely there were some moments where I thought like, yeah, like I really want this person in the book. I really want this person to give me the time, because if I don't have this person directly, I'm thinking, is the book going to hit the same way? Like I remember when I approached Jerome McGinley about being interviewed for the book, I never felt more scared for anything in my life. I went to him, I asked him, and I was stammering. I was stumbling on all my words. I was legit scared. And then he said, yeah. And even after the fact, I was like, really? Like, you want to do this? Like, I just remember feeling such a relief, because he was the very first person I asked for this project, and I really wanted him in it. And the fact that he was also willing to have his name on for the forward, like, that was really cool too. And I really appreciate him for that as well. That means a lot. And just having him, you can go to other people and be like, hey, like Jerome McGinley wanted to be in this project. Like, that actually helps. And that goes a long way when you're trying to approach other people like an Anson Carter or Grant Fuhr or PK or anyone else for this project. So yeah, it means a lot, obviously, not just as a Black media member, but also when you're trying to satisfy deadlines and put together this massive project.
I know you mentioned it was a project that took about 2 years and with deadlines and all the works. How did you maintain that work-life balance, especially while still reporting and doing a million and one podcasts and all of the other fun things that go on in your life?
Don't forget, move across the country.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, don't. I will never move and try to write a book ever again in my life. Don't ever do that. That might have taken a year off my life. I stressed myself. I stressed out. I gained weight. I just, it was a lot, but I don't know how, but I did it. I just had to sit down and work on my laptop and just do as much as I could. It was crazy. I look back, I think about it now, and there was like one year where I think it was like 2023 or 2024. There was like a year where I was, I wasn't home. I was just going out on vacation, and I brought my laptop with me everywhere. And there's like photos of me like hanging out, chilling. And when there was like a break in the day, I was typing up chapters or trying to see if I could interview people. Like, there's like a photo I love so much where I'm in my friend's apartment in Washington, D.C., and I'm just chilling on his couch. And I put the laptop on the table. I took a photo, and it's like Black Aces, forward by Jerome McGinley. And I'm like, I should be out hanging out, enjoying Washington, D.C., but I'm at home, like writing this project. There was a time I was in Curacao, um, hanging out with some friends. And like, again, a break in the day, I had to put together this project. I remember, I think that same year, my fam and we went to Trinidad and Tobago, and it was my grandmother's 90th birthday. And we're in the airport. Like, we had this crazy travel day where we left Montreal at like 6 o'clock in the morning. We flew to Chicago, and then we flew to Houston, and then we got into Trinidad like super late. And it's like, maybe like when I mean super late, I mean it's like past midnight. Like, the airport closed. Like, the next flight's not taking us out to Tobago until like 6 o'clock in the morning. And for whatever reason, I get Wi-Fi. I decide to check my phone, and I look at the emails I've gotten. And I've been trying to get PK Subban in some capacity for weeks. I've been like trying to reach out to his people. I've been trying to reach out to ESPN. I'm trying to get something. And this was like June. This was June 2024, because the Stanley Cup was about to start. And ESPN was doing a conference call where their broadcast team was going to talk on Zoom. So PK was going to be on that. And I'm like, damn it, that's my chance. And it just so happens that like the call's going to be at like 10, and it's happening later that day. And I saw that email at 3 a.m. and I'm just like, oh my God. I hadn't been in Tobago in like years. So I know like once we land, like everyone's going to be like, oh, we want to see Julian. We want to see Julian. But I like looked at my parents, and I'm like, we need to, as soon as we land, I need to I need to set up and get ready to go. And like I say 6 a.m. the first, I forget exactly what time we flew out, but essentially we had enough time to like, we get on the flight, we go to Tobago, we get the drive in, we go to my grandma's place. She has this like big house where there's like a downstairs area where a lot of visitors stay. That's where I normally end up staying when I'm there. My dad is also a super neat freak. So like anywhere he goes, he's got to clean up. So like downstairs, I'm like, I don't care. I'm just like, I just want to set up and just be ready just in case. I'm just ready for this conference call. My dad's like, no, you got to help me clean the place. We do a whole hour of just sweeping up and wiping up all this stuff. And I'm just like anxious because I'm like, yo, I don't want to miss this call, you know? And then I found the time to be able to do it. And I asked my questions to PK and that worked out. But like, it was basically just 2 years of me carrying my laptop everywhere and just writing and dropping everything at a moment's notice to talk to somebody and write whatever story I have on them. It was 2 years of that, essentially.
So what you're saying is in March or maybe April, because we got to account some time for the book signings and the official business. You're going on a real vacation, full technology turn off. I know there's still hockey that has to happen and you technically have a job, but like there has to be a backup writer at The Athletic, right? Right. Right.
Are you serious?
Right.
Are you serious?
You know, the face is saying everything right now. It's just
what
like,
are you what?
Right.
In all seriousness, this summer I'm gonna give myself some time to chill. If the Ottawa Senators make the playoffs, they find a way to make the playoffs. Obviously, I'll deal with that. If they don't make the playoffs, let's just say mid-April, May, I'm gonna find a way to take some time and just chill. That's this year of all years, like I'm gonna do a lot more stuff for me and just relax because I've tried to do the whole like work at the same time as vacation and blah blah blah. Like I'm gonna make sure I treat myself better than the last few years.
It's so hard when you have something like that you need to work on because you say like, yeah, I'll give myself 30 minutes and then something pops up.
Yeah.
Or someone asks you to do something. Or there's a new deadline. So it's it's tough to manage, but the light at the end of the tunnel is near. The time will fly, as they say.
Yeah. Once this I mean, again, we're still building it out, but this book tour that's gonna take up time in February, maybe March, depending on where I end up going. But once that should be fun, but that's also gonna take some time as well and some energy too. But I'm looking forward to it because the hard work, the leg work, it's all been done. Like now it's just getting more people to buy Black Aces and enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Has it sunk in yet, Julian, that you're gonna be doing a book tour that's probably, I'm gonna guess here, you're probably gonna go across Canada, you're probably gonna go to some American cities. Has it sunk in yet that you're gonna be an author that's gonna be doing a book tour, at least through all of Canada, I'd assume?
We're trying to hit up as many cities as I can in Canada. I don't know if we're gonna end up doing anything in the United States, but I'll tell you this: there are 3 cities right now for sure who there are stops for. You can, if you know me well enough, there's a pretty good guess as to what those cities are. I'm pretty sure I mentioned one already, but like you can make a pretty strong assumption. There's 3 cities you know I'm gonna go to for this tour.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty strong assumption. Why Vancouver?
What?
I don't know. Whoa. I'm not saying not Vancouver at all, but why was Vancouver your assumption? That's what I want to know. Because
Vancouver happens to be one of the other biggest cities in the country outside.
Absolutely. You're dead on for that. But like, where do I live?
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, what? That's why I was surprised. I was like, oh, I mean, absolutely. I would love to do a spot in Vancouver. Let's figure that out. But like, I was just surprised that came before Ottawa. That just, Ottawa's got to get a little bit more respect. Ottawa's got to get a little bit more respect than that.
But like, still, like, why would you not start your book tour on 3 of the biggest cities in the country.
I would love to do Vancouver. I'm not saying I wouldn't do Vancouver. It's just the question was like, there's 3 cities you could assume for sure I'm gonna be in for sure.
Listen, I already knew Ottawa was a given, so it's like I didn't really have to answer that at that point.
Oh, okay, so you're going with the fact that it was just already there. That's
yes.
Yeah, okay. That's a good save. That's a good save. Nice.
Be your own people sometimes. No, I'm playing.
You telling me it's your own people.
Throwing it back on you.
You telling me that?
Back on you.
All right, I'll remember that. But yeah, obviously, again, we're building that out, and I'd like to hit as many different cities as I can. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Okay, this is a personal question. Considering you grew up in Montreal, right? Obviously,
yes,
you have probably had any and every variation of poutine, left, right, and center within your lifetime.
I don't know about every variation, but I've had different variations in my lifetime. Yes.
Okay, so just out of personal preference right now, what is your go-to poutine? Like, are we talking jerk chicken? We talking shawarma? We talking pizza poutine? What are we talking about here? Have you ever even had like oxtail poutine, or is that blasphemous to you both as a black man and as a French?
I would be open to try an oxtail poutine. If I had jerk chicken poutine before, I mean that might be too decadent. Also, like I don't think you need to overdo it with poutine. If you like, I'm also very basic too. Like there are times I'd much rather like just give me a basic fry and like I'll just put some ketchup on it. I'm very basic that way. But if there's an opportunity for me to have like a proper poutine, like yes, it's okay to have a normal one. But like I like pulled pork poutine. I've had that before. That's great. I tried a lobster poutine at a concert once. Maybe a little too expensive, but like it was okay.
No, hold on. Break that down for me for a second, because it's like lobster poutine is something that like that has, well, again, for someone who's cooked for a living, that has never crossed my mind. So
yeah, they took, I think it was like the meat of a lobster tail, and they kind of like churned it up a little bit and mixed it up with everything. It was good. It was all right. I don't remember the full contents of it, and I wish I did, but like it was worth a try. It was all right. But like I think it's cool to try different flavors with it. It's okay, but I could also understand if you just want a basic one. Like if you're going to Montreal, you're going to Quebec, like going to La Belle Province for a poutine is fine. You know, there are people who like to be super fancy, go to super fancy spots. Like you don't always need to do that. Sometimes going to La Fleur and getting a poutine is fine. I know people in Montreal will be like, there's this one place called La Banquise. That's like that's supposed to be a big one, but like Montreal people kind of view that as like a tourist trap. Essentially, there's always like long lines for it. So go to like Ma Poule Mouillée or Poutineville for good poutines. Like that's good. But also if you're not doing anything, you're downtown and you just see La Belle Province there and it's 3 a.m. and you just want to eat something and get out, no one is going to judge you for it.
You're bringing me back to my university days on that one too.
Chicken.
Where'd you go to uni?
That was like
York.
Sorry, Marsha. I realized I was cutting you off. My bad.
No. It's okay. It's okay. Well, Dave, you can finish. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I went to York from 2010 to 2015. So all those Montreal trips, there were some fun nights. And seeing a La Belle Province open at like say 2-3 o'clock in the morning when you're basically stumbling Montreal streets and nobody knows how to speak English, it's kind of fun.
That's not everybody. I mean, it's not everybody in the streets, but I get it. But that sounds cool. Anyway, Marsha, I generally want to hear your question.
No, I was saying the General Tao chicken poutine that was going around on Twitter.
Yo, I had that. That was not bad. That was pretty good. It was very rich.
No, no.
The Great Canadian Poutinerie in Ottawa. That's where it is. It's like I was stunned when people in the comments were like, "That's an Ottawa spot." I was like, "What?" I Uber Eats that right away, and I ate it that day when I saw that photo.
Man said that day.
That day.
Not even that day. It was probably that hour.
And it was
maybe within 2 hours of that, to be honest with you. Or the next day, I don't know. But it was very quick when I saw that. Oh, yeah, for sure. I was like, yeah, I got to try this. It wasn't bad. It was good.
I've seen some
Okay.
interesting things, but that one really had me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people would
Oh.
like it. I understand why people would like it. I bet that place must be making bank. There must be people coming in being like, yo, I saw the poutine on Twitter. Great. Like, free promo, free advertising. You take that.
Yo, honestly, I don't know. I don't know if the dudes from Marv need to reach out to you for some Ottawa eating still, but like I think it needs to happen. I mean, we've had some solid wars about General Tao Pizza out here, and it's just like,
General Tao Pizza. I've seen TikToks about that.
trust me, enough people are apparently pissed about it, and then there are enough people who actually enjoy it. I'm one of those people who actually enjoy it because it's like I had a full box to myself, like 2019, and I swear to you, that thing was life changing.
I like General Tao chicken enough to try it. I don't know if it's something I would eat. General Tao, I love General Tao enough, but if I eat it, I'm gonna gain like 20 pounds in a week if I just eat too much of it. So like that's like something you have to have once in a while.
All right, all right, Avery, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, Julian, for those who don't know, of course, you talked about the work-life balance and working everywhere. Can we tell a story about All-Star Weekend and how a bunch of us were doing karaoke? Like, you were still in Calgary, Julian, and no word of a lie, All-Star Weekend, where it's myself, it's Arun, it's Rachel Dory, a bunch of us are out there in Toronto, and to show how being a reporter has no days off, Julian, in the middle of singing, gets a call. It's Flames PR asking him, "Do you want to talk to Craig Conroy?"
Yeah,
At
yeah,
like 10 p.m.
yes,
Eastern time.
yes. And for context, for those who don't know what happened at that time, that would have been like February 2024. So the Flames had just
Hmm.
traded Elias Lindholm to Vancouver, and like the very next, and Elias Lindholm was an All-Star that year, and like the very next day during like media avails, there he is like sitting next to Elias Pettersson, both Vancouver Canucks teammates. But yeah, the trade had happened that night while we were all out at karaoke, and I had to excuse myself a couple times to write my end of things on the trade. And Thomas Drance, who I was working with for a story we wrote on the trade, he very much wanted to write this piece about like, okay, we got to break down exactly like how this happened. And I love stories like that where it's one thing if you get the information on the trade, but if you're able to figure out like exactly like how the trade went down, certain details of like timelines on certain things, like I love stories like that. And for Thomas to be like, yo man, like we got to work on it, I was like, you know what, all right, we'll figure it out. So getting Craig Conroy that night, I had to like run out of the karaoke room. I had to find a quiet room upstairs. It wasn't even a quiet room. I just like stood in the stairwell just alone, just like talking to Craig Conroy on speaker and just recording the call and just asking him like, why did you, or like what went into the return, which was like Andrei Kuzmenko, Yanni Yermo, Hunter Prustevich. There might have been another pick involved. There were some picks involved in that deal, but like that trade has ended up being a win for the Calgary Flames in terms of the prospect haul they were able to get out of that. But yeah, writing about that was very intense.
Hmm. And how's your career evolved, Julian, as someone who's now covered three NHL teams? How's your career evolved from covering first the Habs to the Flames and now the Senators for the Athletic?
I would say having that experience of being in three fan bases, being around three fan bases, being around three different teams has served me very well, just to have different perspectives of how all those different teams and how those different fan bases operate and how they vibe to certain things. I would say that there's a little bit of this in Calgary and there's been a lot more of this in Ottawa where uh, more work is asked of me in the sense that I don't have to just cover the team, but they would much rather I spend time writing more stories that could be seen nationally. So if a player who's super good on a team we don't cover comes into town and there's an opportunity to write a story on them, I think of the time I wrote about Nikita Kucherov a couple years ago. It's been really fun being able to do stories like that, or being able to write about heated rivalry or the relaxed dress code. Those are stories I wouldn't normally do, but it's been really fun to put those stories together and to develop an expertise in that, and not just be a guy who writes about stuff on the ice, but finding ways to blend in culture and the intersection of the game and culture, and looking at it from a 10,000 foot view, and not just focusing on a team's power play or a penalty kill, for an example. I think I've grown as a writer in terms of the different topics that I'm able to write and the different angles I'm able to put together. But also, I'm nothing without the editors who I've worked with since I joined the company 5 years ago to put me in this position. I think I've grown a lot through my experiences, and yeah, I think my evolution is just the fact that I've been able to write stuff that I don't think I'd be able to put together 5 years ago, in terms of the scale, the people I've worked with as well. There's a lot that's gone into it, and there's a lot more room for me to grow, I think.
Julian, I want to ask you this as a media member and also as a fan of well, actually, I'm going to ask you from three perspectives. One as a hockey fan, two as a member of the hockey media, and three pretty much as a brother. It's recently come out that Fanatics is going to try and do something similar to what Major League Baseball did with the City Connect jerseys, and they're trying to do the same thing with the NHL.
I heard a rumor about that.
I want to hear your opinion on this. Like, how would you feel about anything? And do you have any particular, say, suggestions for designs for certain cities?
It's a great question. That's a great question. I don't know if I could speak to every single city, but you know what I will say? I will say there might not be a better time than now for Ottawa and Fanatics to work together on creating these jerseys that were out pre 1992. They had this cool I think Parliament's in the background of these jerseys. They've had them in black, they had them in white, but you have to look it up, and I realize I'm doing a terrible job of describing them. But I think if you're able to incorporate these concept jerseys that the Sens were touring with before they made their debut in 1992, and I've seen people throw up concepts on Reddit. If I'm the Senators and I see the fan base has been asking for that, I would try to find a way to have these jerseys up. I think they're the Peace Tower? I think it's the Peace Tower jerseys. I don't know how else to better describe them, but if you Google Ottawa Senators Peace Tower jersey, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about, just with the color scheme, the use of the Peace Tower, black, white, and red. I would try to find a way to incorporate that if I'm the Ottawa Senators. I'm curious to know what teams that are a little bit more traditional in the original Sixth Sense, like a Montreal Canadiens or even a Toronto Maple Leafs, could do in terms of incorporating elements of the city. You could make the argument that their respective logos are embedded in the city's culture. You might not even have to do that much, but I'm always cool with teams trying to do new things, and the reverse retros from Adidas from a couple years ago. I'd be really fascinated to see what other teams come up with. I presume in Calgary they might want to do. I mean, they have Blasty already back already. Maybe they don't have to do it again. They in the previous reverse retros they brought back the pedestal, another design. Marsha found a way to. Marsha knows exactly what I'm talking about. The Ottawa Senators Peace Tower jerseys. I would love the Sens to find a way to bring that back. Not even really bring that back, but make that a thing finally through Fanatics. So I think it'd be really cool to see that.
Yeah, I agree, Julian, because you know what thing I do I like the idea of the concept, because Aesthetics had a great series on unused NHL logos and jerseys. I would love to see NHL teams go into their bag and say, you know what, we're gonna revive our concept, because I think there was one they mentioned in one of the episodes of that series, the Florida Panthers. The Panther was gonna be green and yellow. It was going to be a green yellow panther, not what we had in 1993, and they're also toying with the alternate name. They're also going to be known, or they're considering calling themselves the Florida Blockbusters as a Blockbuster tie-in for their old owner, Wayne Huizinga, who owned Blockbuster. So, I mean, if the Panthers want to go that route and say, hey, here's our remix jersey, which is all based on the Florida Blockbusters, that'd be cool.
Nah, that ain't it for me. Have a blue yellow blockbuster team. Who would even get that now? Like, who are you marketing to that with that?
I would say you do it as you do it as, hey, we could have been this.
Listen, like
I want them to bring back the old school cat logo with the panther holding the stick. Yeah. That I think would be a dynamite idea.
Been there, done that. You've been there. You're right.
No. Like, you do the Panther, but you do it like a Miami Vice jersey.
Yeah, that I like. But also, I can understand too. That's also been done as well.
Color.
The Panther in a blockbuster color, like the blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow.
I mean, the rumor going around is that their jersey will be pink, from what was leaked on Reddit.
Oh.
Okay. If you buy a Blockbuster jersey and you have to return it, like if you return it too late, do you have like fees come up? Like what's that concept? What's next?
I knew it was coming. Packaging too. It was coming from you.
It was a real bad joke. Is the team going to ban with Netflix next?
I'm dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Anaheim Disney Pluses.
Oh my god.
We're going off the rails right now.
This is going off the rails? This is tame. This is tame by comparison. This is tame. If this is going off the rails, then everything we've ever done on air together we should be in jail then. Are you kidding me? This can't be off the rails. I've seen Avery take wads of cash and make it rain on camera. I've seen Avery make jokes about his fedora hat on camera, talk about off the rails. We've talked about Justin Cuthbert being a Brampton man. Like this is tame by comparison what we're doing. We have restraints on us.
I mean, you told me.
Why is Dave Barnett looking at the camera like that, as if if he knows something or he wants something?
Because Avery's in lion tamer mode.
Is Dave feeling FOMO, or who are you looking at when you do that?
I'm looking at Avery right now. This is a wild shit right here.
I mean, there's a Zone Time quote where Julian said, and I quote, "Keep your foot upon the ground," when I threatened to show my foot on camera during a Zone Time episode.
He showed his feet. Yes, that happened. Oh, like, what are we doing? Yo,
I love the fact that
Avery, whose mans are you? Like,
again, this is why
has Avery ever worn the Michael Jackson jacket on this show?
No, he has not. And
you've never showed him the Michael Jackson jacket? Yo, he wore that during a show. This red leather jacket. He wore that in the house.
Did he have like the full-on zippers too?
I'm pretty sure there were some zippers on that thing.
Yes, there are.
Like, damn, right there's zippers on my jacket.
The only thing we were missing from Avery that day was him spinning around and doing a hee-hee. That's all we were missing from him that day.
This is why Zone Time was a show you had to watch every single week. This is why, because the things that would go on between myself, Julian, Omar's rants, where we literally would just mute our mics and let Omar go off for 6 minutes on the Leafs.
Like, Omar, those were some of the best things you could do, because especially if the Leafs did something crazy that week, all you had to do was just like make one subtle reference. It just, those like toys with the string in the back, you just like pull the string and you just let them go. That's honestly what you had to do. And you knew with the passion that Omar has, you're not getting a word in for the next 3-4 minutes. So we just made it a thing where it was just like, all right, we know he's just going to talk. And even before shows, he'd be like, guys, I need 5 minutes to say this one thing. I need 5 minutes. So I was just like, all right, like, you make sure you allot him that time. I would put him on mute. I'd go to the kitchen and see if I could find myself a snack in that time. Kept my headphones in just to make sure that, like, the show wasn't going off the rails while I was gone, but I knew he was going to talk long enough anyway. So
off the rails.
Yeah, well, look. So all that to say, like those shows were going off the rails. This is
I mean,
all right. We're within. We're within the lines.
Compared to half the stuff I've gone off with over the last 6 years, like just by what you've just said, I'm actually offended by this. Avery, like dead ass, like yo,
Avery's been holding out on you.
he has been holding on us. Like yo, wagwan, Avery.
At the very least, you should have seen the jacket by now.
I mean, for the record, Dave. For the record, Julian, there have been some shows where I've had to go back in and censor because Dave said something so outrageous, like, "Yo, I can't go on air."
Oh, the worst.
There has been more than one show where you hear that censor go for a good 6-7 seconds because of Dave.
Jeez, what would you say? What were you saying?
A random cut in the clip.
We'll tell you off air. We'll tell you off air, Julian.
I can't repeat it. Like, it's not bad.
Oh boy! All right, I don't want
to
get
when the show done.
Yo, I think we still have all the raw episodes still too. So like, yo, we'll send you some just to get an idea.
Anyway, yeah, sure. I'm looking forward to those clips.
Man.
But I do want to ask you, Julian, just about, of course, this year in Ottawa, current Senators, been an interesting year. Just what's it been like for yourself this year, being in the room with a team that, again, if trying to get back to the postseason after a 24-25 season, saw them play Toronto, and a team that's had their ups and downs and dealt with injuries all throughout the season, Julian?
It's been a roller coaster for that group. They've had moments where certain parts of their offense or their defense isn't working. The injury bug has hit them, but I don't think it's been more clear than it has been now. Goaltending has been the biggest thing holding this team back. Linus Ullmark, as of right now, we don't know when he'll be back. He's still away on personal leave. Levi Merilainen's been given a run of games, and he's been below standard. And behind him, the Senators do not have an immediate third option. I mean, James Reimer was signed on a PTO, and he is probably going to be the next guy up for this team. He did play one AHL game on the Sunday, and he allowed 6 goals. It's the first game he's played in months. This team is down to James Reimer, essentially, when they eventually call him up to the big club, and Levi Merilainen to save their season. And unless those two goaltenders find something within themselves to get out of where they're at, it doesn't look good for this team, which would be a total shame because their underlying metrics on offense have been good. Tim Stützle is playing incredibly well and is on pace to have a career season. I think Drake Batherson is at that point too. Even Brady Tkachuk, who, yes, he has not looked like the ultimate version of himself, but he's still a near point per game player on this team. And you've lined up all these contracts for the next handful of seasons through the end of the decade. And if you miss the playoffs, it's a failure and a missed opportunity to capture what you can get out of the window that you've set for yourself. Like, it's a missed opportunity if you can't make it to the playoffs. And by the way, as I'm sure you guys remember, or maybe you don't, but I'll say it for everybody, this is not like a team like Winnipeg, for example. President's Trophy winning team last year, it looks like they're going to miss the playoffs. But for a team like Winnipeg, who they need homegrown stars to get themselves going, and they managed to sign all these other big-time players to long-term contracts like a Kyle Connor or Mark Scheifele or Connor Hellebuck, getting a top pick in the first round might be a blessing in disguise, especially if you can plug them and play them in the lineup. Ottawa does not have that. They do not have their first round pick coming up this year. Like, this is a doomsday scenario. I think you have to find a way to make the playoffs, and I don't know if they can do it with the goaltending that they have.
Sorry, I had to chuckle because saying that like a team rides on James Reimer is just a disaster waiting to happen.
I mean, that is until Linus Ullmark eventually comes back, which it sounds like it still looks like it's still going to, it looks like it could happen, but we have to wait and see as to when exactly that will happen, right? Like, and even with Linus Ullmark, as much as December, he generally looked like he was turning the corner. When you're looking at it, metrics like goals saved above expected, he's the worst in the league. if not one of the or one of the worst. But like goaltending as a whole has been the biggest thing that's held this team back, and it couldn't have happened at a worse time for this group.
And for a team like Ottawa, it's like, what do you do if you spent so much time building your skaters and your goaltending has just flopped so tremendously? Like, you're not getting what you thought you were going to get out of Allmark. Your backups in terms of who you have behind Allmark aren't developing in a way that they should be. You can't blow up your forwards or even your defensemen just to try to salvage that. But if you don't, you're not going to get anywhere. So it's this weird kind of grind that they're in.
It's as tough of a situation as you can be in. You have to find a way to pick up as many points as you can in the month of January. You hope that before the Olympic break, you can win those final 3 games. I think they're going through Pittsburgh, Carolina, and Philadelphia. Then you're off for the Olympic break. And then you have essentially, a week and a half before the trade deadline starts? 2 weeks before the trade deadline? Like, I honestly did not picture a reality where the Ottawa Senators would be selling at the trade deadline. Depending on how they play the rest of this month, it's something you're going to have to think about, not necessarily with the core players, but like a David Perron, for example, who's a UFA at season's end. Do you have to think about moving on from him and seeing if there's a playoff team that might use his services as a middle six, bottom six forward? Something you're going to have to consider. I don't think Claude Giroux. I'd be stunned if Claude Giroux wanted to be involved in any trade talk with his situation. But I think just the idea of the Ottawa Senators maybe being a seller. I mean, it hasn't really been talked about yet, but like their chances at making the playoffs are like, I was looking at Dom Luszczyszyn's numbers earlier today. They're at like 25%. They're like 25.1%. 3 weeks ago, they were at over 76%. This is a fall for this team, and it couldn't have happened. I mean, you could say it couldn't have happened at a worse time, because if you look at some of the hottest teams in the NHL right now, most of them are Atlantic Division teams. They're all playing well, and they're all trying to separate themselves from the pack. Ottawa has to find a way to just get up off the mat and do something. But when you're down to James Reimer and Levi Merilainen, yeah, there's reason to feel doubt about what you're doing.
Do you genuinely feel, and I'm not saying this just to rub salt in the wound, but do you genuinely feel that I guess that loss against the Leafs a few weeks ago, do you feel like that was the catalyst to, say, the free fall, or do you think it was just a factor to it?
I mean, that extended a losing streak I shouldn't say losing streak. I should say they're in their last 9 games where they've gone 2-6-1. That helped the free fall that they're in right now. I wouldn't call it like a catalyst, but I think just that stretch of games, that game particularly has not helped them in their hopes of accumulating points. That's how I would put it.
One last question before we advance to our rapid of everything. I know you had to cover the Leafs Senators series last year.
Yeah.
I'm probably sure that burned a hole in your craw when the Leafs ended up winning in 6. Like, what, as a writer, what were your emotions going through the whole thing? I know you had initially stated earlier that, like, obviously you have no affiliation to any given team unless you're writing for that particular team, and even then you aren't really a fan of a team. Like, what was like initially going through your mind, considering that you happen to be a writer for, like, say, a team that was basically catching an L by Toronto?
That whole experience was super fun. I never thought in a million years I would ever be in a position where I cover a Battle of Ontario. And to say that I got to do that, that's something that's going to stay with me for the rest of my career. The only other time I've ever covered the postseason was during the pandemic, and there were limits on the amount of people who could attend games. And I mean, as much as seeing the Montreal Canadiens being a Stanley Cup final, like that's something I'm going to remember for a really long time because I have so many friends who are still Habs fans who enjoyed that moment. Plus, our province, Quebec, was getting out of being in a curfew because of COVID. There were so many different things that went into that experience. That Battle of Ontario experience was super special. Just going back and forth between Ottawa and Toronto, covering those games, working with Chris Johnston and some of the other Toronto contingents that we have at the Athletic, Joshua Cloak and Jonas Beanie Siegel. That was super cool. Like, that was a really awesome moment. Like, I get it. As someone who covers the Sens, I have to provide that angle. I have to also mention James Myrtle too. We collabed on an article during that series, which was great. Obviously, as the Ottawa guy, being able to provide their perspectives is important, and to write stories and to satisfy our readership base is also very, very important. But I took that as like just fun, because I think even if the Sens didn't win that series, the fact that that whole year was about them taking a step forward after finally making the playoffs after 8 years not being in them, and then you get that Game 5 win in Toronto, and all of a sudden everyone in the city believes they could take this to 7. And even if they don't win that series, like, you would still some kind of fear in the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, you needed Max Pacioretty. The Leafs needed Max Pacioretty to save their butts in Game 6 to win that series. Like, I think if you're a Sens fan, yeah, fine, you lose that series. But you look at that and you're like, hey, man, like, if only that series started off a little bit differently, maybe it's a completely different game. Because I'm telling you now, and I think you know this too, the Sens win Game 6, they're winning it in 7. They're going back to Toronto and they're taking everything. Because you could tell fans were scared as the series was going along. Like, I remember talking about it actually with Dom, that like Dom was very much like, oh yeah, there's no way the Leafs lose that series unless the Leafs implode on themselves. But knowing what we know about the Leafs in the postseason, that was very much a possibility. Like, the fact that it almost happened, that was such a wild story to cover. So yeah, for me, like, I look at that experience, I look at that as super positive. Like, to have an opportunity to cover a playoff team with no limits on attendance, and seeing Ottawa get up for their team, and going to Toronto and seeing Leafs fans be up for their team too, that's a special moment. Like, I really enjoyed having that opportunity to cover a playoff series like that.
So if you can tell by the white hairs on my face, the amount of times I've had to deal with being on the receiving end of catching historically significant L's where the Leafs collapse on more than one occasion has kind of caused my face to age.
Were you alive? You were alive in '67?
Well, no, I'm not that old. Okay, I'm not as old as Troy right now. Let's be honest here. But
Troy was alive in '67?
No. Like, Troy's the oldest one out of all of us right now. He's like 42 today. So like, we just call him old. Anyways, no, the amount of stress that the Leafs have caused me over the past 6 years, and of course through running this podcast, Avery knows this better than anybody else. Like, the amount of episodes I've basically lost my voice on with this team falling apart left, right, and center is just outright mind-boggling. So I guess I can somewhat understand the importance of your experience with the Battle of Ontario. Like, I grew up watching the Battle of Ontario like for years as a kid.
Yeah.
As an early teenager.
As a youth.
I'm pretty much. And it's like, when you brought up 2021 with Montreal making the Cup final, I nearly burned my jerseys that year because of how bad that collapse was. I was that pissed off.
Y'all shouldn't have lost that series, bro. Y'all had
We
that.
should have. Yo, you're giving me PTSD flashbacks right now.
Wasted that opportunity. Y'all have an overtime where you have like 13 or 14 shots on net, and the one shot Montreal gets, it beats you. Man.
Yo, you're giving me PTSD already, guy. Like, yo, what is?
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I did a documentary that I was in for like 1.5 seconds. It was an interesting time. I wore a Leafs jersey on an Amazon doc. It was great.
Damn,
I
man.
mean, the follow up was great because it was like, what was it? Being on the Leafs Instagram was kind of crazy in itself because like a couple years after, because like I forgot how that whole experience went because it's like we were all just trying to do some stuff for the podcast, trying to get some exposure, and try and see if I could get us a free jersey that says Toronto Third on it, and then get people talking. But
Yeah.
like being chronicled on the Leafs Instagram for like a hot minute was kind of fun because it's like you see me just screaming and yelping and everything, and I'm like embarrassed to shit because it's like why do I look so fat in this picture for one, and two, why do I look like I'm about ready to fight somebody and just yell out war cries left, right, and center in a Leafs jersey. It's just, I will post this picture in the group chat and I'll let you guys figure it out for yourselves. But like I was happy that like number of Leaf fans are coming up to me saying like yo, we saw you on Instagram and everything. We saw you on CP24, and I'm just like, please leave me alone.
Oh my god.
Like, thank you, but please leave me alone. So I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No. I wanted to bring up. I wanted to make one more mention of Zone Time because we started that show, maybe January, like early 2021, and up until that series, whenever we did episodes of the show, we only discussed like one topic at a time, and we were essentially recording maybe like 5, 7, maybe no more than like 10-minute clips of like we would talk about whatever, and it would just be these short clips that would go up basically on the Yahoo website and exist there. That first episode after the Leafs lost Game 7 was like, it was much longer than that, and that ultimately served as a proof of concept that we could turn it into a much more expanded podcast because of how entertaining it was. So like, at least for the show, as long as it was a thing, there was a benefit to that because like basically that day, we were talking about the Leafs, and for the Leaf fans who were on that show, it essentially served as like a therapy session. Like you just had to kind of just kick back and just like let them talk the whole time.
We do the same thing for our spaces every playoff season. So.
Oh my god, I miss doing like a Twitter space with Tic Tac Tomar after like certain games and just letting him just vent the whole time. Yeah, there's something about a playoff series where you're cheering on your team that brings out the most intense feelings. But yeah, I really that 2021 playoff run for me, like I have a lot of memories with that because I do kind of see that as like a little like breakout year for myself, and a lot of the opportunities I've been able to take advantage of now probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't work as much as I did 5 years ago. So yeah, I'm grateful for that experience, and I'm grateful for all the friends it's given me, including the Zone Time crew as a result.
And Julian, hey, it was a blast doing Zone Time with you. It's a blast when we try to do alleged stats. It's always fun chopping it up, and we'll have to wrap things up here. We'll go through some questions, rapid fire style, where about your career. Some are out of pocket, some are comical, some are about hockey. So we'll have some fun with this, Julian.
Oh boy.
First one I want to ask you is actually a two-part question. Of all time, who's been your favorite interview of all time, and who's someone on your bucket list that you still want to get?
Favorite interview of all time. Probably Larry King, when I got to talk to him in 2016. There was an event in Montreal where these I don't know exactly what to describe the organization, but they had these old contracts that Jackie Robinson had signed when he joined the Brooklyn Dodgers organization, including one that had him play with the Dodgers minor league affiliate in Montreal for a season before he played in MLB. And Larry King was basically touring with these contracts, and everyone who was at Montreal City Hall that day, like they lined up to meet with Larry King, and I got to talk to him for like 3 minutes and 33 seconds. And I just asked him about Jackie Robinson, and I'm pretty sure I probably asked him a question about his career, but like that was a really special moment to be able to talk to him. It's probably him, or for me, there's like a first, second, and a third place. It's Larry King, George St. Pierre, and I'll say Sidney Crosby. It's those 3 interviews that are the most memorable.
Oh, and who's in your bucket list? Who's that person you're still like, oh, before I retire, before I call it a day, I gotta get this person? Or is there one, Julian, for you?
For the longest while, it was George Stroumboulopoulos, because I've always been obsessed with the fact that he made himself, like, he was a music guy. He made it work on Hockey Night in Canada, and I've always wanted to talk to him about just how things ended there at Hockey Night in Canada. I didn't get to talk to him about that, but I did get to talk to him about PK Subban, and getting him for the book was really cool and really special. So I don't know if I have anyone on my bucket list now. Maybe that could change, but George Stroumboulopoulos was my white whale for years, and to be able to get him in this book was super cool.
What happens first? A New York Jets championship in 2026, or a Leafs Stanley Cup title?
Leafs Stanley Cup title. Next question.
Okay, worst Canadian city that you have ever visited, and it's a choice between Toronto and Edmonton.
What? Worst Canadian city I've ever visited, and I have to pick between Toronto and Edmonton.
Yeah.
Edmonton. That's not fair though. Like, to pick between those
all right,
two.
all right. Sorry, that was a little too out of pocket for me. Okay, what was your worst experience in a Canadian city? Just be honest.
Damn, it actually might have been Edmonton.
Rip.
I don't know if I feel comfortable telling the story on wax, but I would Edmonton is the answer. That's a story you tell in the group chat, or I'll let Avery do it because he was there.
All right. You know, we'll sauce you an invite to the group chat, and there you go. Like, you know, we'll give you honorary membership at this point.
Wow, so. that's crazy.
Marsh, you have a question for Julian? Or go, Dave.
No, I was thinking.
This is not so much rapid fire as I thought it was going to be.
I was going to say, no, like I had one. What's your biggest hockey moment as a fan, in your opinion? Like, you've covered hockey. You've watched hockey. As
a fan, when I was still a hockey fan, it was watching the Canadians go on the 2010 Cup run. That was insane. Seeing them beat the Caps, seeing them beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then they go up against the Flyers. They lose to the Flyers. But, like, that was the Yaroslav Halak year where people were wearing shirts with the stop sign that said Halak on the front. That was insane. That was, when I was still a Canadiens fan, that was like the most fun I had following the team and being a fan of the team. I remember first round game 7 against the Caps. I couldn't watch the game live because at the time, like, I was in high school, I was a theater kid. I was actually working backstage for a play we were putting on. And for scenes where, I mean, I wasn't on, but for some of the scenes where certain people weren't on, there were people like hovering around like the cell phone, but not like in the days of today where, like, if you have a smartphone, you put the phone on TSN Plus and then you watch the game. Someone like called in to this friend's phone and was giving like a play-by-play of everything that happened. And when Dominic Moore scored in game 7 to make it 2-0, we were all running around backstage like crazy. Like, if you were in the auditorium, like watching whatever play, you could hear people yelling like, ah! Like, it was that mad. Those were some of the most fun moments I've had as a fan. So I would say the 2010 playoffs, because that was just super special. Plus PK Subban, I mean, he had played 2 regular season games that year. He introduced himself to the world in that second round series.
You know, you're one of the only few people that has actually mentioned, like, say, an NHL moment over, like, say, the golden goal, like that happened a few months prior.
I mean, that's easy. Like, yeah, that's probably the answer. I just presumed you, like, what you say as a fan, like,
No,
like
but I mean, again, it's just like, even as a fan, like, say someone will mention the golden goal and it's nothing.
Yeah, but that's very easy. Like, I like, yes, the golden goal for, I think, for everybody, especially in Canada, like, that's the biggest thing. I remember where I was in my parents' basement. I watched that. I was jumping up and down like crazy. It could be that, but I kind of took that as, like, when you're a fan of a particular team and not just that. That's like a default answer for everybody. I thought that would have been too easy to pick.
No, that was a beautiful answer. So, like, I appreciate that. And Marsha, please go ahead. Sorry, I've been cutting you off all night. And, you know, I feel like
I feel like we've been cutting off Marsha too much, and I apologize for
okay.
that.
No, you're fine. It's okay. You're all good. Brain does the jumble sometimes. Go to morning beverage.
Orange juice or whatever Nespresso pod I have available. I've taken a little bit more of a liking to coffee, which is crazy because I used to not really drink it that much, but now I feel like I would like to have one at some point during a day. I don't have like 2 or 3 like some people, but like I'd like to have one.
Oh, sorry, Marsha, go ahead.
No, so you can't go wrong with one sip of coffee.
Yeah, I think coffee's great.
Are
I
you
don't have like any crazy
or a
fancy
Milo
ones.
tea guy?
Am I Milo tea or what?
Ovaltine.
Milo. I haven't had Milo in years, but if I had to pick between the two, I'm picking Milo.
All right, there you go. Avery.
Will we ever have peace between Mero and Jesus?
Between Mero and Jesus, you're the first person who have ever said Mero and Jesus and not Jesus and Mero. That threw me off.
Trailblazer.
I'm sorry, that's fighting words on that part at that front, man.
Same dudes, just switched it around.
That's fighting words at that point, man. Because, like, Jesus follows us. You know that, right?
Same, man. Yo, you gonna fight? Yo, you gonna sue me?
Are you Guyanese?
What's up with this West Indian wars now?
Those are the only people I would know who would mix up words like that.
You don't get smacked by Dwayne D'Arcerio. Well, be careful.
Okay.
Wait, what?
I didn't know he's Guyanese.
Dwayne's Guyanese.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll have to deal with that in due time. Will there ever be peace between Jesus and Mero? I mean, sure. I mean, you could argue there is now. It's not like there's an active, like, I mean, they don't work with each other anymore. They're in different phases of their lives. I could see a world where they both end up back together doing something. But I don't know. I don't even know if you could call it, like, I mean, it's not like they're friends, it seems like, but it's as peaceful enough as it could get. I don't know. I'm starting to accept the fact that we might not ever see them together, but I know if they ever do come back to each other, I will drop everything that I'm doing and I will watch whatever armistice they've set together or whatever peace treaty they've set for each other, because those two are hilarious together and I miss them.
What would hurt you more? A Leafs Stanley Cup victory? Or no, sorry. Seeing the Leafs win the Stanley Cup in your lifetime, or watching Montreal lose another cup final?
Neither of them would really hurt me that much. Watching the Leafs win a Stanley Cup, if I'm still part of the Steve Dangle podcast network, might end up being licensed to print money. Watching the Montreal Canadiens lose another cup final, that wouldn't hurt me either. It would more just be like, okay, it happened. Yeah, none of those would really hurt me that much.
Favorite sneaker?
This is a good question. It's like a night. I don't know if I have a specific one, but I'm a big Nike Air Max 90 guy. I very much love an Air Max 90 shoe. I love those shoes. I very much would love to rock them as much as I can. I'm an Air Max guy.
All right. I got one more before I send back to the crew to wrap up, Julian. So my last question for you. Again, you're a busy man. We know how much time it takes for Athletic that work. But if there's a chance, will you go to a World Cup match if there's a chance to escape for one match, either in Toronto or Vancouver? Because I know, again, it's a World Cup. It might not come to Canada again, but will you find a way to escape if someone says, Julian, I got a ticket for you, and it's one of the Canada matches? Will you find a way to try and get that game somehow? I know you're a soccer man as well.
Yes, I would. It's the World Cup.
See if you can try and swing yourself over to BMO Field. I might be able to take care of you. So,
bet.
All right. Other than that, I think Marcia's disappeared on us for a minute. I don't have any more questions, but honestly, it's fun to chop it up with you. Oh, wait, Marcia's back. Do you have one more question for her?
I was about to Marcia said, wrap it up.
Yo, you better wrap that up, B.
Wrap it up.
I'm here, but I still think we should wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Marcia said, wrap it up, Dan.
Fair enough. Hey, Julian, thank you very much for coming through tonight. Honestly, we're more than happy to have you. I think this is your third appearance on the show?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I mean, considering you're on the third intermission Hall of Fame at this point, would be nice to actually, have a little bit of Ottawa correspondence. So, I mean, you're more than welcome to join the crew anytime you feel. So, you're more than welcome to come back.
Yeah, man. Appreciate the invite. Let me know you guys want me back on. Obviously, I know I get the schedule gets crazy, but I do like being on with you guys. So, it'd be cool to be back on at a different time. So, thanks so much, and please buy Black Aces wherever you get books.
Yo, shameless plug right here. Buy the book. Get it on Kindle, or somebody will read it on YouTube. Let me see if I can get some money off of that. Bottom, there you go. Anyways, just want to say thank you once again for coming through, Julian. Also want to say special shout out to Marcia and Avery for coming through tonight. Can't do anything without you two, so obviously appreciate y'all for coming through. And we want to thank you, the listener, for letting us grace the space in between your head top, and thank you for letting us see our ugly faces. Well, at least mine anyway. Other than that, this is another edition of the Third Intermission Podcast. Make sure you follow us wherever you see us on the socials, and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We need more people here. We need more people making fun of my haircut and my hairline. Look, just make it a thing, or make fun of Avery's fedora. Get him to wear the Thriller jacket. I don't know, but as it is, we're out. We'll be back next week, and be prepared for another season game of the week. So until next time, drink your water, mind your business, and deuces.
Buy Black Aces.
Eat.
Buy it.
Buy the book.
Buy the book, saw.